Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 604, recorded live on Sunday, July 5th. I'm your host, Patrick. With me this week, we have back to the show Nimvind.
Merry Nimbus.
And Arkat.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, a pleasant one here, as hope it is wherever you are. I think there's like a heat wave going on right now.
It's going to get into the 90s for the next week for us.
I was laughing a little bit because they were saying I've been watching the national news a little bit more closely the last couple months, and their weather report, or it wasn't even a weather report, just an advisory of, hey, the heat wave, and it shows the map of the U.S., and I'm looking outside and it's raining, and you see the U.S. and this little blue spot up where I'm at, and everyone else is getting the heat wave, and we're getting rain. Anyways, congratulations, everyone. You have made it halfway through the year 2020. We only have half a year left to go. Screenshot for this week. Nervsion grabs a shot in the moonlight in the 470th screenshot of the week. Thanks, Nervsion, for sending in this week's screenshot. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOCast.com. DDOCast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network, and shows are usually available within a few days of recording. We should have a show next weekend, and you can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOCast.com, with our calendar. On the podcast this week, we got a little bit of catching up. Took last week off for no good reason other than I just did. So we got a couple. We had a couple updates the last couple weeks. We had preview 1 of update 47, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And Hardcore Season 3 started. So that's kind of where we're all going today. Should be some fun. We'll start with our game news. Like I said, we had a couple of pretty small patches. Well, one was, I think, officially a hot fix, and then the next one was a patch. Update 46.2.3. So they fixed an issue where Quest Ransack was not working properly. And this was the big thing, I think, with this one, because they wanted to get that fixed. And what was happening, I believe Steel started and he said, the core of the bug is that the check to remove you from Ransack was not occurring. If a chest should have come off Ransack anytime after Update 46 Patch 2, which was on June 3rd, it was supposed to be off of Ransack with that patch. And you should be back at square one. If you open a chest for the first time in a while within the last week, Ransack should be functioning normally for that chest. The only thing that changed was that Ransack was never getting removed once applied. Now it removes properly again. So, and I haven't seen any issues from that afterwards, so that's good.
I didn't even know this bug was a thing until they fixed it.
Oh, I knew it was a thing. I was doing some of the new gatekeepers quests. One in particular where you go and you had to double click on the parrot at the end and look at the songbook, whatever that one was called.
Rosemary's Ballad.
Yes, and I was farming for something specific. I think it was one of the orbs there, the Sonic Orb or whatever it is it's called. I don't remember, but I was farming for that, and I ran into that message like on the very first, time I clicked on the chest and told me it was ransacked. I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And I, honestly, that really sucked a lot of my enthusiasm away from the game. I haven't really been playing for the last couple of weeks, and I'll do a raid or something, but as far as my farming, my farming activity is concerned, it basically none. And I know that I can go and do that chest now, and it won't be ransacked. But I've just a lot of the momentum I had for trying to equip, one of my tunes with certain newer stuff is just sapped right from me, and I don't know when I'm going to get it back.
Yeah, that's always kind of a bummer when something like that happens. I've been there with a few. That's usually me with TRing. Like I get to a spot
Yeah.
of like, I don't want to do this. It's actually I'll talk about this later. That's actually why I ended up on Hardcore Season 3 this yesterday. It was kind of because I'd been hitting my TR character pretty consistently and doing a lot, and like I don't want to do that right now. And a friend said, "Hey, you want to come play on Hardcore for a little bit?" And I ended up spending the whole day there. And there you go.
Sucker.
There you go. Reincarnation. We have discovered an issue where reincarnation data can become unreadable by the game after an update. In particular, this can cause epic destiny loss if a character is logged out before a patch and reincarnated after a patch, if that character has not been logged into after the patch. In order to prevent this from happening, characters must be logged out on the same version of the game that they are reincarnated on. If reincarnation is begun and then a patch occurs, the character will be directed to log into the game prior to completing reincarnation. The cause of this bug was initiating a reincarnation. So this is commentary from one of the devs. The cause of the bug was initiating a reincarnation in one game version, then completing the reincarnation in a different game version, as in after a game update, without logging into the character under the new game version. So, the fix is to no longer allow that to happen. Players will be required to log into a character if they initiate a reincarnation, but do not complete it till after game update. Players currently in a bad state will need to work with customer service to resolve the issue. The good news is that in terms of the Epic Destiny loss, I have had that happen to me twice personally. I could not tell you if this was the circumstances of that, but it would not surprise me. And it was, other than having to be on that character for until customer service got back to me, it was a pretty painless experience to get it back, to get the Epic Destiny back. I do not know if this would also be the root cause of, say, losing your TR cache, which is supposedly fixed, but I would say that my reaction to this is, it seems like a good idea to start and to do a reincarnation after you've logged in after a patch. So whether, because one, this could break again. It's not like things have never rebroken in the game.
Yeah.
So that lock might fall off, unfortunately. But it also just seems like, man, why did I not ever really consider that would be a smart thing to do in the first place? But there you go. That brings us to Update 46 Patch 3. That was released Tuesday, June 30th, so this week. A couple of kind of fun stuff here. VIP players and Season Pass holders now get a small group bonus to experience. This is the plus 1% XP boost per party member or member in your raid group for a maximum bonus of 5% for a party and 11% for a raid group. This bonus is not applied for hirelings or other NPC companions in your group. This bonus stacks with other boosts to XP, including all of the ones that currently exist. So that has hit live finally. Yay.
I know. I was
Hey,
waiting for this one.
I've got a question about this actually.
Okay.
Is it plus 1% per people that are persons that are in your party, no matter whether they're VIP or not?
Correct.
Or is it only plus? Okay.
It does not care. The bonus only cares that they are a player.
Do they breathe?
I mean, they could be an undead player or a warforged. Yeah, it just has to be a player, so not a hireling or companion. But otherwise,
Yeah, but my question was whether the other players also had to be VIPs in order for you to get the each 1%.
Nope.
Okay.
Let's see. They corrected a non-visible issue in Unyielding Sentinel that was causing an impact on game performance, as well as a non-visible issue with feeding and draining effects that was causing an impact on game performance. The correct hardcore server reward NPC is now located in its proper location throughout the hardcore server, except not the boat, the login boat.
The Heart of Wind or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's still the first season one I noticed. Fixed a bunch of typos and grammar issues with the rewards NPC. Yeah, ooh. Someone forgot
Do
to
they
edit that.
do they have a technical writer there that that's what their job's to do? I mean, you know me, Patrick.
I
I'm a kind of a
I don't
stickler for
know.
spelling and grammar, and it just bugs the crap out of me. I mean, some of the devs are notoriously awful. I won't name names, but are notoriously awful with how they write forum posts, and it's just, I mean, I just cringe. But I mean, but I understand that the devs aren't
Yeah.
there to have great spelling and grammar, but it just seems to me that you could have a technical writer there that whose specialty is to catch stuff like this and put it out there for that would to make it
Mm-hmm.
presentable for public consumption.
My guess would be that they probably have someone who it's kind of like a part of their job as opposed to their full job.
Yeah, I have a feeling that there's
But
many hats worn by many people.
yeah, and it may not even like even if they have that person, it might not even be necessarily their oopsie either, right? Like it could be one of those things where someone didn't note that, hey, check this for grammar and spelling, right? Like because every time they do this, there's going to be a fairly any update, there's going to be a fairly large amount of um,
Then that's a
language
fault
stuff.
on their
So
process. That's a fault on their process.
well,
And
what I was suggesting is it not necessarily a process problem, but just it still a person, a worker error, but not knowing if it. I'm just saying it could also be not the editor person's oopsie. It could have been someone didn't flag this for review as well. Like that could have been
again, that's
a thing.
a process flaw.
Uh,
Because if you don't flag something for a review, if that's part of the process to flag something for review, then somebody screwed up and the process isn't working the way that it should.
sure. Sorry, I was thinking in terms of you're talking about the issue being with the process itself, not someone not completing the process, which was the distinction I was going for.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the short answer. There are. It seems to have been a thing. I'm trying to think. Has it been a thing more common of late, or was this
Well, there's an entire thread of a guy who's taken, I mean,
okay?
screenshots. I mean, I mean, it could be close to 100 screenshots. Maybe that's exaggeration. Maybe it's been between 50 and 75 of stuff, of things that are, spelling and grammar things.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a thing with DDO. Is I know that Linabelle has taken a lot of time to correct stuff like that, and I certainly applaud that effort. But it's things that are going back years and years and years, long before
Sure, sure.
Linabelle came on board. So I mean, it's just been a sloppy process, or just somebody's just not noticing things or something. Like I said, it's a long
Right.
history of stuff like this.
Uh,
I'm an
so
English arts dropout. I wonder if they can hire me to do their grammar.
don't hire me. That's like no.
Oh, they can
Um,
hire me, but I won't. I wouldn't do it. It would probably require me to move, and I'm not going to do that.
yeah, probably not the place you're looking to move to.
No.
Well, I was thinking that this one particularly struck me as it was particularly bad in the sense that there were a lot of errors within that one little window.
Yes.
So it kind
Yes.
of led me to think that it didn't even get reviewed. Not someone went kind of. A lot of the other ones strike me as things that someone was editing and you could have, it could potentially be a situation where we need you to edit all of this by the end of today, and you kind of go through it. You have to go through it too fast.
Right. Yeah, no, I understand that, and I think your impression on, or rather, what you said regarding this one particular piece, it was so
Mhm.
bad that it makes sense to me that it was just, that it was overlooked.
A lot I'm wondering if they used Fiverr sometimes to outsource some of this.
I don't know. I tend to be someone who I read quickly, um, more quickly than most people, but I also don't catch a lot of those grammar, spelling mistakes because my brain will kind of correct them a lot of times. So
Sure.
they have to stand out a little bit more for me to catch. I know the work I've been doing with converting DDO to D&D for Stormreach Chronicles. Like I've gone in and really taken specific like worked at taking the actual language in the game and translating it to Fantasy Grounds and like trying to write the same stuff. And in that process, I've found a handful of spelling or grammar mistakes that I know I've read countless times before, but I didn't really read it closely. So, um, but yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering: is this kind of a reoccurring gross problem, or was this like a one that got completely missed, kind of a thing? Let's see. Hardcore reward NPC now grants season 1 and 2 rewards on the hardcore server for those who earned them previously. The first time I read this, I'll admit, I thought it was saying that you could earn the season 1 or 2 rewards during season 3.
Yeah,
No,
same here.
you can collect them.
Yeah, that was my impression too. But then I saw the who earned them previously bit.
Yeah. Which I actually think
I
still would be kind of nice, but
I really like this change though, because in season 2, I was like, oh man, I worked so hard for those footprints, and I can't even use them here.
yeah.
Unless you ported the Hall of Heroes before they changed out Doom guy with Eritricos.
In the I think more kind of usefully, the season 2 horse is very nice as well if you don't have the horse pack from Keeping the Borderlands.
You were able to collect it in like the first 3 hours of Hardcore Season 3 because Eritricos was just hanging out in like Korthos because he loves that place. Good
Oh,
seafood.
sure.
And and then they took him down, like, or he had to go or something.
Wrong one. And then last note for this patch was death messages will now display properly on the hardcore server.
What the heck does that mean?
So,
Okay.
well, why don't you go, Nimbin? You've been there more than I have.
All right. All right. So they in season 1, they were rolled notifications. They were really neatly put up in like red text on top of your screen, right? And then so this season, the beginning of the season, there was no text at all. You had to click hardcore on your word tab, your text box
The
where
chat
you
box.
communicate, the chat box. That's
Yeah.
the right word. And then you could see it in red letters on the side. But some people were like, well, I'm one person, me was like, I miss it on top of the screen because if I'm looking at my chat box, I'm not looking at what I'm doing. But then they decided to do a Simpsons title screen card, like big yellow words. The
It's DM
Simpsons
text
died
now.
at level 3. Yeah, it's huge. It's
That's kind of the controversy. So the issue was before it wasn't displaying, and I believe they also uh, put the death message because they can control what level it appears on. So what they did is they made it so that it had to be a death of a character 5 or above. And people gave their feedback and said, "No, we liked it at 2. Show us it at 2," which I have to say, personally, I think 2 is better. Like because I particularly enjoy seeing all the people bold enough to get killed by Reapers at level 2.
That is
So-
great.
And there was 4 people that got killed by a Famine Reaper all at once, and that was hilarious. And they were all like one level 3 and a bunch of level 2s got killed by a Famine Reaper, and you could tell it was all the same group. But in any case, my experience, again, having really only played yesterday on hardcore, I like the old version better, right? Where it was kind of the world broadcast notice, so it was kind of, it's at the top in white. They've changed that to be the DM text. It doesn't appear to be going consistently all the time. Because like there are
Just
definitely
when you're
ones
in
that,
danger. No, just kidding.
yeah, right. It's definitely not picking up all of them, and it may be. I wonder if it's only doing that part if it's above level 5. I'm not sure. I wasn't paying that close attention apparently. But I definitely I don't like the DM text channel for it, right? Like it being blazoned across the middle of my screen in white. I liked it above my screen in white instead of middle screen yellow. So I'd like them to go back to that. But I'm at least happy that we're getting those. I like seeing more death messages than less in general.
The way it feels, the way that like what I've been hearing on the SSG side is that the hardcore league is at a very probationary like they actually don't know exactly where they're going with this, or they're figuring out when's a good time part of the year, or 2 times
Sure.
or 5 times. Like that's I believe that they're doing it whenever they're ready to put out, just to get information on what time of the year that they would get the most feet in. And on top of that, they're also trying to figure out like what would be the identity of hardcore now that it changed its name to hardcore from permadeath server. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to figure out this beast because they're definitely on something that is good.
Popular.
I feel like this is good. Yeah.
That could be one of the reasons why it was sooner this time, as they were trying to hit a different time of year in the summer. That's an interesting thing to be playing with, although I have to say I don't feel, and I don't want to go like into the politics or world part of it too much, but the fact that we're currently living in a pandemic and a lot of places are still have restrictions on what kind of activities can happen, and some are kind of going backwards in that process and going back to more restrictive environments. I'm not sure that you're going to get a good data set with that. Like how do you separate? Are we getting a big boost of players because it's the summer and people have more time or are playing more, or from there's more people who are out of work or can't go do the things that they would normally go do, like go to bars and restaurants at night, right? So like how do you disassociate those two things if you collect that kind of data?
Surveys.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be
Why are you logged in today?
Because I have nothing better to do today.
Because my family shut down. That's why. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's a interesting. Cause I still have to think that a large part of it is because they're working backwards from when do we want to release the expansion, and not wanting to release, like they've already said on the record that they don't want to release balance changes and class things during a hardcore season, which I appreciate. I mean, I think that's the right call. But if they want to release the expansion in October, that means this needs to end before October. So we'll come back to hardcore in a minute. Shall we talk about update 47, which previewed on Lemania? So this was open on Lemania from June 23rd through June 25th. Some stuff that's in here: Legendary Lord of Blades, Legendary Master Artificer, and Legendary Vision of Destruction. I did not go and play on these. Obviously, we my guild and I went in to Legendary Lord of Blades when it snuck onto the live servers. My understanding from the 3 raids is that it's kind of what I expected. There's not fundamental changes to the raid. They're just legendary versions. Things hit harder. I did see that Sulamati has a particularly nasty disintegrate.
Yeah.
I think one of our guildmates went in there to kind of play around and got, I think on R1 he got disintegrated for like 5,000 damage or something like that.
That's good.
Like that's a zap.
I'm glad that's only a single target thing.
I did not hear. It sounded like you still have to run down to them, which
Yes.
is a little
No.
unfortunate. Hey, there might be it might change, but we'll see.
Yep. DDO needs an Uber system.
Well, we do for Legendary Hound of Zoriat. I don't know why we can't have one for VOD and the Lord of Blades and Master Artificer.
It just seems completely a waste of time to me to have people run through all of these explorer areas that are less than level 20.
Yeah.
To go run something on 30 plus.
Yeah.
It just seems kind of silly.
It is.
I understand from the standpoint of like them wanting to have a time sink, I guess, but I don't know. Based on my experience, especially with the Lord of Blades, I don't think it's gonna be that much of it's not gonna be a time sink. It's not like we're cruising through that fast, but we'll see.
It just kills my house P buffs.
Yeah. Whoa. Speaking of house P buffs, I need to get my house P buffs on that hardcore character because his jump is lousy. Let's see. New standalone dungeon, The Promise of Flame. I haven't really heard anything about this other than it is in the not Cerulean Hills, Searing Heights. It's based in the Searing Heights, which explains why they did a little bit of the little tweaking work out there. New named loot. We're gonna put a pin in that. We're gonna come back to that.
Okay.
I heard a rumor though. I wanted to ask you guys.
If it's about the loot, put a pin in it. We're gonna come back.
It's about cosmetic. I heard a rumor that Warforges are getting wigs in U47.
I have heard nothing of this. This is the first time I've heard of that. I
couldn't find it on the notes or anything, so I'm like, players are nasty.
That seems like a bad idea to me. I'm not. That.
I want a Mr.
Also, if you're gonna do
T-bot.
Warforged, why not also Dragonborn? I would think if you're gonna do something with either of those two races, and I'll even throw Tiefling in on this. You could do cosmetics that are race specific for them, right? Like a different spike set for a Warforged, or different scale look for Dragonborn, or different horn look for Tiefling. I mean, hey, SSG, if you're listening, a small Tiefling horn cosmetic would probably get Arkat to spend a little bit on that, and where
the no tail cosmetic would.
Oh, you want the no tail? I thought you wanted the small horns.
And I do, and the small horns.
Okay.
The horns are just ridiculously big, and the tails are ridiculous as well.
Yeah. Okay. What did you want to say, Nimvind?
I definitely would like cosmetic makeup for Dragonborns. I feel like Dragonborn, like I would like eyeshadow and big lipstick, a fake mole.
Crying out loud! Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's an opportunity there though to have cosmetics for some of that are more racially specific.
Yeah, I think so too.
Please don't make them bound to character when you pull them, like the horses.
Oh God, I have a story about that. I was, it's the same character on the live servers that always does, pulling does all the dice rolling, and it's a tune that does not have a horse. And and probably for like the last couple of months, it's always been the same tune. And for some stupid reason, I had a brain fart and I got one of my my mule tunes, and and rolled the for my gold roll, and of course I get the the jackpot, and I get the black fast stallion, and I'm just like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I'll
Yeah,
never ever use it because it's going to be just going to be a
Mhm.
mule tune, and
Yeah.
I'm
I've got a couple
so
horses on tunes on
depressed.
other servers that, yeah, bound to account. Come on. If
Yes,
it's
yeah.
please.
or look, if the bound to character thing is a thing that we can't get around, we've got this cosmetic vendor that takes cosmetics from daily dice rolls. Could we maybe take the horses from those daily dice rolls, convert them into an ingredient that can be bound to account that we can then
Move the ingredient.
here's a workaround.
Yeah.
We're just gonna grind your magical steed into dust.
Yes. SSG, if you're listening, here's your workaround. Like this can like we can do this. It solves the problem. Anyways,
Just the one time I screw up,
I know,
I
right?
get the damn
Oh,
horse.
as soon as you started talking
Oh,
about it, I knew where this was going.
God.
I would also, while we're here, can I request maybe something to do with Tomes of Fate that we're getting? In an odd, because I've been rolling the season pass holder. I've been rolling on all the different servers most days to do my rolls. I don't remember which server it is. I think it's the Lennis, but I was kind of doing some inventory maintenance because of this almost a year and a half worth of rolling. I have 7 + 3 Tomes of Fate on the Lennis.
Yeah, I hear that.
Like the disparity on where, like, one of the servers I have a higher concentration of cosmetics, and on this server I have a higher concentration of Tomes of Fate for some reason. It's easily twice as many as any other server. It's kind of weird. All right, back to the notes. Now that we've fixed a few of SSG's problems with players. Character stuff. Warlock focus blast range has been increased by 20%. I believe focus blast is the basic one, right?
Yes, it's the basic one.
Yeah.
So hey, longer range. That's neat. I think that gives it a good distinction between the cone and the chain, right? Because
Well, yeah, gives it its own value.
yeah, it already had a longer range, but 20% more is going to increase that a lot. Warlock's Mage Armor Pact spell now appears at the correct spell level. Celestial Pact's description now properly states that it requires non-chaotic rather than it must be good. That's good.
You know why? There are chaotic good outsiders, and neutral good and lawful good outsiders. Celestial specifically. Why don't you just keep it as good? I don't get it.
That's an interesting question. I don't know.
Do you want to hear the lore about it?
Oh God.
Well,
Can we get
what's your
the
opinion
30-second
on
the 30-second version of the lore?
Well, the lore starts at page 1 and it goes down to page 113. You got 30 hours?
No.
No.
Actually, if they're trying to go off of Eberron, the Celestials there are native there, and I don't know if because they could be good or bad. That's where we get Caspiel. He got sent out of Assyria or whatever it's called, Syrian, because he's they tore his wings and they sent him down, and so I think most angels are lawful in Eberron, like that's their thing. But in the multiverse, the D&D multiverse, yeah, angels are coming all flavors.
Yeah, is Q-Spiel, is he he's different than an Arenahes, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I was trying to figure out what because the Arenahes is like this fallen angel version, and then I was trying to figure out what Caspiel is, and yeah.
Caspiel's just an angel that decided to move away from being good and to be more practical and do whatever he needs to do in order to accomplish a goal. So
And in the latest 5th edition Eberron book, The Recovery from the Last Word, there's actual specific stat blocks for the type of angel that he is.
Hmm.
And that's why his wings are ripped off. That's a specific identity of these angels, because they're angels from that plane, and they either get corrupted from the original ideal and they rip the wings off and they send them to Eberron. They're like, all right, someone will kill you.
I just say I kind of hope that they bring some of those characters back. Like I really liked the anti-party idea. I would have liked them to have used it a little bit more evenly, because you fight Urk like way more than any of the other ones.
Oh God.
Um,
Yeah.
so like I would have liked to have seen some of them be used a little bit more throughout that story arc. But I really liked the anti-party idea as a narrative, and I hope that they do kind of some more. I would love to see that guild keep coming up. That would be a lot of fun, I think.
Oh yeah.
Some item stuff. New Generation 2 split set filigrees have been released. You can check out the Threads of Fate crafting window to see them. Again, this is all on Lamania. It's not on live yet. Globe of True Blood now properly enforces its intended minimum level. Several random loot shields have had their descriptions corrected. Smokescreen no longer overrides certain other concealment bonuses. We've talked about this one before. Alchemical crafting no longer requires raid-specific crafting ingredients. The rune arms found in Sharn now have more appropriate icons. This may be my favorite one of the whole thing, and there's some nice release notes in here. The following potions can now be used while raging: Lesser Restoration, which I think actually already could. Remove blindness, remove curse, and remove disease. Yay!
It depends on where you buy these potions. The guild vendor, you actually drink them, but the ones in the middle marketplace does a
Right.
casting animation.
No, I think the lesser restoration ones, I think, were even the basic ones were already working. But look, adding blindness, curse, and disease to this is fantastic. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Long overdue. Also, while we're fixing SSG's problems and making the game better, can we get rid of the barbarian rage fatigue thing? Like, it's just tedious.
Also, can we see what tome of learnings we have? Like, what if I'm a heroic and I want to upgrade my epic one, but what if I don't remember if I have a lesser or greater? We
That's
should
off
be able to
topic,
see
man.
that. Oh,
You're not wrong. I have a spreadsheet that helps. The House Cannith raids, Lord of Blades, and Master Artificer no longer require playing prerequisite quests to flag them on any difficulty. Yay! Still gotta run down there though. Patriarch's Crypt fixed a bug that causes the named item reward chest not to spawn sometimes. That is the Catacombs quest where you run away from the Marguerite, except
From Marguerite, yeah.
it doesn't. My experience is that people aren't doing that anymore. Now that you can kill it, we just kill it.
yeah.
Fixed an issue in the quest Missing, where you could not complete the Mark of Madness optional because you could not interact with some of the NPCs. I'm taking credit. Yeah, I'm taking credit for this next one. Demon Sands, Windlasher snare arrows have had their duration greatly reduced. Because I talked with Torque about this after they asked the devs. I don't remember if it was on live or if it was after we were talking. And I mentioned that to them that they're because the gnolls out there, their arrows cripple for a minute, and it's lame.
Ah, okay.
So I think that's what this is referring to, and if it is, I am totally claiming credit for this one. This has been a pet peeve of mine since Makar had that 10-week challenge thing, because that was driving me up the wall in Demon Queen trying to solo that on a low-level character, and like this was the issue that was hosing me every time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Miscellaneous. I don't know why the VIP bonus is in this again. Probably because they weren't going to have a patch, and then they ended up having one. Spell DCs by school and tactical bonuses are now visible on the character sheet details plus tab. Fantastic. Love it.
More information is always good. I'm fine with that.
My
Now put
question.
the tubes of learning in there.
My question with this though is that I'm assuming that this would have to be without your heighten, or without, like, irrespective of spell level, and thus would not include heighten. Because the DCs, because this is just because the spell level is part of that formula, right? And heighten
Sure.
increases everything up to that spell level. So
Right.
I'm interested to see how that plays out here.
Oh yeah, I guess it would depend on the spell as to how high the DC was.
Right. So that
Well, no, it would always be, it would raise all the spells if it had a DC. If you had heighten on, it would
right.
raise it all the way to 9th. So, oh no, well, hang on, well, yeah,
I'm
So your
assuming-
highest caster level.
it can only go up to 6.
I didn't look, so I'm assuming that this is not going to show me the difference between a level 1 spell and a level 5 spell. Right, the DC there. So I'm assuming the spell level is going to be absent from this statistic. And you'll have to add that in your head. Now, this is still, I think, a better place to be. But that's kind of my guess here.
Okay.
Warforged and Bladeforged characters now properly display the footprints while death follows you is toggled on. NPC no male hairs are now weighted properly and will not drift away from the head during animations. This one may also be my fault. Fixing a bug they fixed a bug that causes some accounts to not adhere to character slot limits.
Yes,
When
that is your fault.
Yeah, yes. When logging into the game,
publicly.
I mean, I was contrasting what they were saying with my experience. When logging into the game, if you have more characters than slots, you'll get a dialog box to allow you to select which characters are playable. So this means if you transfer a character, say off of hardcore, to a server that does not have a character slot, you can still do this. But if you don't have a character slot, you will have to then pick which characters you are going to allow access to. This is a similar thing that happens if you are VIP and become premium. Because you lose character slots at that point.
So we can't do it like how it was before?
Right. So, I had said on the show a few times, like, they're saying, this is what they're saying, and my experience has been, like, I had 27 of 22 characters on Kyber. I have since parsed that down so that I do not have that problem while I was doing nothing. So that's being reinforced, shall we say. Let's see. So if you have more than character, you should still be able to transfer. Like, I think their language is a little misleading in that, intentionally so, because they're trying to communicate that you can if you transfer a character to a server you don't have an open slot, you won't be able to play that character until you can create a slot for it. Which would mean you would have to delete a character. So just kind of be aware of that.
Or buy another slot.
Which, hey, they're on sale right now. Update 47 loot preview. Wow. What do you guys think? Do you want to talk about our initial impressions, or do you want, before we talk about Linnabelle's punch list, or you want to talk about Linnabelle's punch list first?
I don't have any preference.
You decide, Patrick.
Lead us.
Let's talk about our first impressions, and then we'll kind of end with Linnabelle's punch list. So we'll take that pin out. Arkat, do you want to go first?
So, is it okay if I bring up specific pieces of loot, or you just want me?
No,
just to give an
specific
overall?
is fine.
Okay. So
just let me preface what you're gonna say first, though, by saying understand that a lot of what we're going to talk about is going to change.
Right? Absolutely. So, Overall, my impressions were pretty meh. I was really looking forward to Divine Vengeance, or the legendary version of Divine Vengeance, which is the longsword that you could get from VOD. I was really hoping that it would be, they would keep it in the same vein, and it would be really good in the hands of paladins. And
To
but
for those who don't know what that is, you want to explain more about that
so
sword?
Yeah, so Divine Vengeance was based on the Holy Avenger. That was in, uh, first and second edition specifically, and I guess probably to a certain extent, third edition. It had things like every time you hit something, it could had a chance of dispelling whatever magics that was on the creature that you were fighting. That was one of the powers, and Divine Vengeance had that power on it, and that was really really cool. Um, and uh, and unfortunately, it seems to be missing from the Epic version. And I mean, it's possible that their tech didn't allow for an item to dispel magic above a certain level, and I understood that, and I wasn't super disappointed that that particular power is missing. But the version that Linnabelle created, it just seemed a lot like a copy and paste from Divinity, the Morning Lord's Goal, which was the Bastard Sword in
From
the
Strahd.
Strahd raid. And yeah, and it was just way too similar. And I
No,
you
correct
know
me if I'm
it,
wrong. Both of the Divine Vengeance and the one from Strahd, if you're a paladin, it
yes,
gets more powerful if you have
it
paladin
does.
levels.
Right. So for example, Divinity, and I think, or maybe it was just Divine Vengeance. If you were lawful, it got one extra power on it, like
Mhm.
axiomatic or something. And then if you were a paladin, it got, I don't know, it got something else. But if you were like a 20th level paladin, it got even better. You got like Metalline and the core skating, which was light damage.
Mhm.
So there was an incentive to be, lawful, to be a paladin, and to be a 20th level paladin, with Divinity for sure, and I think also with Divine Vengeance. I couldn't tell you what the what exactly the exact specs for each version of the sword, depending on how many levels of paladin you had, et cetera, et cetera. But the idea was the same. It would get better in the hands of a paladin, more or
Does
less.
does the new legendary one do that? Because I didn't.
Yes,
It does.
yes,
Okay.
because if you're a 20th level paladin, the legendary Divine Vengeance equivalent, I think it's the Angelic Vengeance, got light damage and was Metalline with the exact same thing that if you were a 20th level paladin and used Divinity, the Morning Lord's Goal, exact same thing, light damage and what do you call it? Metalline. The thing that was really cool about Angelic Vengeance, though, um, if you were a 20th level paladin, the extra damage dice from like axiomatic, light damage, and undead bane went up to 19 dice instead of 10 dice. So it was quite a bit of extra damage if you were a paladin. And the Ghost Bane property didn't make any sense to be on a Holy Avenger, because there's nothing special about a Holy Avenger versus undead. It was really supposed to be used against things that are chaotic evil. But um, so a lot of people in the forums were thinking, well, let's go ahead and get rid of Ghost Bane and give it Keen, like Keen 5 on it. And another group of us were thinking, well, why should it be just stuck for people using long swords? Your vanguards, which are predominantly paladins, they would have been stuck using long swords, when if they could use bastard swords, they could also use strike through very nicely. So, it was like kind of like a combination of, well, okay, let's go ahead and drop Ghost Bane and put Keen 5 on it, and let's also use the Schism crafting thing, so that if you got if the sword would drop as a long sword, but you could make it into a bastard
interesting.
sword or a great sword with schism crafting if you wanted to. And I don't
You're
know.
referring also to like kind of what you can do with the Black Razor,
That's right.
and that stuff.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. So I don't know where Linnabelle is going to go with that. Although Linnabelle did mention that in one of the bullet points that I think we're going to cover, that might have been a possibility. But maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
Okay.
Oh, other loot type stuff. Other general impressions. Yeah, you know what? Let's just go ahead and wait until we get to the
Sure.
bullet list.
Nimvind, anything you wanted to say about the loot?
I really wish that the elemental weapons from the legendary alchemical stuff worked a little bit differently. Like I kind of wish that the elements were standard, right? Like if you pull, like let's say a hand axe drop, and it was an air hand axe, then it will have everything that the legendary air stuff would get, which is basically kind of like the level 20 alchemical weapons when they're fully crafted, except a quarter of the effects taken off, which is kind of sad that it's just basically a legendary-fied version of that, except with things taken out. Um, but like, you know what I mean? Like, just have the element be the thing, and anything can drop there. Because like, it was weird that, in my opinion, that there was no air rapier, right? It was fire. So, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I could just get a rapier and then chance it on it being one of the four elements. Like, I don't know why it couldn't have been like that. And there,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe, I don't know. We've had loot before that was different depending on the flavoring of it. I just wish it was kind of in that vein. That way, and any weapon user can have any element that would benefit their build, instead of maybe
Yeah,
even switching your end game weapon because the one element that you want is on a battle axe instead of a dwarven axe or whatever.
sure. No,
I
that's totally reasonable. That makes perfect sense to me.
and I don't know why there's Mind Sunder loot in there. Like, are we getting like, is there? And there's
Well, Lord of
Hound of
Blades does
Zoriat
have
loot.
Lord of Blades does have kind of the Dream Plane
Yeah, the
tie-in.
quarry. He is getting infected by spoilers, you know. um, but there's Hound of Zoriat loot mentioned in there too,
The hand wraps.
Yeah, which I assume are going to be in Vision of Destruction.
and the Levick set, and
Yeah,
the bracelet of insanity.
I assumed all of that stuff was going to be in the in Vision of Destruction.
But like, that me Arkat's English means lore, right? Like VOD is a devil invasion. Zoriat is the Dalkir realm of insanity. Like they have like, and the
Sure.
storyline of VOD, they're just coincidentally in the same neighborhood. You know, they're not the same gang. One's Crips, one's Bloods. They ain't the same.
Yeah, that's a. It is kind of weird that they're kind of going in that direction. Although the heroic ones used like pieces from both, right? Like that was kind of the part of the shtick there. Or did they?
No.
Tharns was in Vision of Destruction.
Yeah, both the Tharn's pieces were in VOD.
Were both of the Lorix and Levick sets in Honda Zoriat?
Yep.
That sounds right. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to say about the loot?
I actually thought the loot was good. It wasn't great. I didn't see it, and I'm like, this changes my life, like Sharn. You know what I mean? And you know, a lot of it seemed like more beefed up and like reduced versions. Like I said, for instance, if you tier 1 heroic alchemical has like, let's say the ice one gives you cold flame guard, ice proc, freezing ice proc, and like I think 2 other things, right? But they only took like one of those things and put it on and then tier 2 comes with like 2-3 things, and they only took one. So like it's really, if you look at the legendary alchemical and the heroic alchemical, you're getting like one or two key features that might have been the eye catcher of those things in the first place, but legendary. And then all the other stuff, which were also awesome, like the insightful armor class bonus that you coincidentally got while getting lit to hand wraps or alchemical hand wraps with lightning strike and like electric storm, is not there. And also the stunning is not there from the electric set. So like it just feels like really all you're getting is fan service, but in legendary levels. You know what I mean? Like, and then the rest of the stuff that also worked mechanically with the alchemical stuff in heroic is left out. Like, oh, you get this great AOE damage and this great proc damage, and then two other things that you probably remember for alchemical, but like there was way more to it than that. Like there was like a bajillion effects on those things, and all of them were very beneficial. And you can mix and match them. Like, yeah, I can live without the mix and match. Make a mono, right? I just wish that they were more truer to the stuff. And I know they're trying to slim down the enchantments because it goes right to the thighs, but it's just too. Like I feel like they focused on some of the DPS side rather than the how this benefited my build side of the weapons.
I think my kind of initial takeaway was this is clearly not meant. It's clearly meant to be kind of a sidestep and an alternative to a lot of the stuff that's out there, particularly some of the sets in how they conflict with the Sharn stuff. And when I say conflict, I don't necessarily mean by gear slot. I mean it's the same bonus type.
Yeah.
Which is
I do like the 2-item gears though.
Yeah, the 2-item sets are nice. I think I would have liked to have seen a little more flavor to the sets. Not necessarily a lot more power, but just some, as opposed to it being a dumbed down version of the Sharn sets in a lot of cases. I think it would have been nice to have seen something that was different, maybe a little different flavorfully.
Can we at least give them the one compliment that they didn't tie in armor to any of these sets?
So you might actually have to be able to wear 2 sets now.
Well, some of them you definitely can, but they also don't stack, right? Like you can wear the Levick. I believe you can wear the Levick set with the Sharn tank set, but they're the same bonus. Like it's an artifact bonus to the same thing. So I don't.
Oh, yes.
I think the Levick set has a little bit more threat generation than the Sharn set does, but that's about it.
You know what? They could actually fix 2 birds with 1 stone. They should make it a psionic set bonus, and that will tie in the Zoriat thing that they're trying to force into this.
No, I don't agree. The other thing that I kind of looked at was I think there's a kind of an irony here in that one of the things that we'll talk about when we get into Blunderball's punch list is there was a design assumption that people wanted to see similar items, right? Like, so she was really conscious about taking stuff from the heroic level and kind of translating that into a legendary version, which I think is a good place to go as a general starting point. The 2 things for that, though, for me were, one, I understand you don't want to have a lot of crafting stuff. You don't want to introduce more crafting. But I think one of the nice things about the alchemical weapon system was you could get a weapon and you could pair it with an element. And even like what Nimvind was saying, like even if it was just, I think we'd be better off if you could get a set of weapons and then in a set of elements. And if that is they drop in the elements, which dilutes the loot tables, which is not great, or here's a blank and here's an element and you can kind of mix and match the 2, right? Like that would be fine as well. And that's not, I don't think that's a lot of crafting in the sense that I think that would still be okay. But it seemed really weird to me that we're starting from this base assumption that people want to see the heroic version in legendary, and you take out that customization completely. Like I don't want a 3-tier dual step crafting system, but
No.
like I also think that if you're gonna go with this legendary alchemical system, and you're keying off the heroic system, why can I only get a bow in one element? Why can I only get a rapier in one element? Why can't I get a rapier in any of the 4 elements that are out there? The other pitfall I found was there's a lot of and they're kind of fun enhancements on some of this gear, which is generally around related to around like the little static bonus kind of things that come in. But we didn't get legendary versions of those. So you have things that exist on level 18 gear or 19 gear on level 30 gear, but it's the same thing, right? Like there's one of them is you get a +4 alchemical bonus to strength and dexterity and constitution, I think. And then some other stuff. Like, okay, but like this is a legendary item. Can we get a legendary version of some of this stuff? like it doesn't have to be like a lot better, but just make it the same thing and just like add a little extra flavor to it or a little higher bonus.
Like a legendary bonus, but make it +2 instead of +4 for the alchemical bonus.
Or even keep it alchemical and make it +6, right? Like the point being, don't just take these non-scaling abilities from level 18 gear and slap them on level 30 gear.
Oh well, so Manslayer, that's like one of the worst ones I've seen. Makes absolutely
That's not necessarily the one.
So Manslayer's on the ring, right? One of the monk rings or something, but or no, it was one of those rings that you make. I forget which one, but it wound up being on one of the level 20 or 29 things recently. And I say recent, I mean like within the last year. And it made absolutely no sense to have a mod like that. It does extra 100 hit points of damage. At level 18 or whatever it was, level 20, and do that. On an end game piece of loot. Just made no sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the. Here, the Cannith Combat Infusion. So
okay.
Oh yeah.
This is the one I was talking about. +4 alchemical bonus to strength, constitution, dexterity, as well as a 5% alchemical bonus to your chance to double strike, and +2 to your armor class. That is the same exact thing that you can get on a level 18 piece of gear.
Yep.
And it's on a level 29 piece of gear.
Yep.
It was in Sharn too. It's part of the gloves and part of the family set.
And
Hammer Fist.
My point here is, some of these things are. Can we not get some of the abilities like that appear all over this suite of stuff? Like, this is legendary stuff. Can we get, maybe not this time around, but if we start getting these in the future, can we get legendary versions of some of this stuff, as opposed to the same thing that it's at level 18? That
right.
To me, that just kind of saps some of the interesting parts out of that suite of items. So. I did not have a problem with kind of like the power level of some of the stuff. I just kind of wanted it to be a little more interesting in general too. Also, I think this was also rightly pointed out that some of the stats seemed kind of low on some of the stuff. There were a few places where I think it was like, okay, but you can get random loot that's as good, if not better, at that stat level. I think that was mostly the loot that's out of the new quests. Like I'm just kind of looking at some, like the legendary Fanged necklace is a level 27 necklace with strength 12 on it. And that number seems low.
Right.
I do think that maybe they're trying to not replace a lot of our end game gear, considering that Feywild's around the corner, and that's probably where they want to put the premier end game stuff at. But then again, that stuff should be like level 31 or something. So like, why can't we have good 28, 29 gear?
I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I was thinking that you can get other named items that are higher level. Maybe I'm wrong in that. But so that was some feedback that other people were giving. I'm not sure where I was on it exactly, but let's see. Said it was level 27. It was 12. That's the same you can get as on crafting items. It's not better. The named item is not better than scaling crafting, which maybe is okay, maybe isn't. But that was some feedback that people gave me. Linabel responded to a bunch of this feedback, and he said, "Here's what I'll be tinkering with over the next few weeks in no particular order." I will take a pause and say, this says here, the next few weeks, right? So that I think that gives us an insight into when we might see this update. I believe that was on last week. The end, not the week.
Like yeah.
23rd. I'll look that up really quick. But it said, 1. Make the legendary alchemical weapons more attractive compared to other raid weapons of the same tier. I know deep down inside no one's looking for yet another crafting system, so I'll be doing everything in my power to make this happen without one. The heroic crafting system will lose a huge chunk of its cost with this update, and I'm not going to reverse course on the goal of removing as much grind from DDO as I can just yet. Which I think that the removing grind, good, but I'm still of the mind that, hey, let's make this actually be like don't take out all of the flexibility there, even if it's just that here's an air essence or a fire here's 4 essences and go.
Yeah, the customizability is I think still important. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I personally feel that even if they just release 4 hand axes in all elements, or just everything in 4 elements,
Sure.
there will be no crafting, right? But there'll still be a grind. And when you finally get your fire greatsword after pulling 3 water greatswords, you're gonna feel like, oh yeah. Like, remember back in the day when we actually crafted a level 20 epic item? You're like, oh yeah, this thing stained my inventory. I still have my e-sauce.
Yeah.
I deleted my e-chrono set, but like, this thing has a story. Like, there's a motor. I feel like it makes content rerunnable too.
Sure.
Like, I want to keep on pulling until I get this cool great sword or whatever, and the element that I want. And I don't know. That's just how I feel. A lot of people want to lessen the grind and make things more simpler. Like, I feel like we can keep things still interesting if we had a good grind.
That's what the runes are for. Is you get your 1250 runes and you're going to get what you really want. But it still would be nice if you had the chance of pulling the the Earth battle axe or the Earth dwarven dwarven axe, whatever.
I think we're all agreed that we would like to be able to get either, whether that's through they drop already done or there's a small crafting step. Give me an element. Let me get whatever weapon I want in whatever element I want. I think that's kind of a theme.
Sure.
For us, anyways. And SSG, we solve this problem for you in more than one way. So take your pick.
It would be cool if we just get the alchemical weapon from the end chest, and part of turning it in, you get an option for the guy to imbue it with one element. That'd be kind of sick.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's see. Take a deep dive into items whose design were dictated by the heroic counterparts. So the House Canna stuff and roughly half loot in VOD. I kept really close to the original heroic designs, and it looks like that wasn't the best plan. It seems like players from 10 years ago value different things than they do now. Who knew? I have a few evil ideas to make them a lot cooler, and I hope you'll check back in Preview 2 to take a look. I've heard a rumor.
Which, by the way, Preview 2 might be this week.
Yeah, I heard that rumor. By the way, the few weeks comment came on June 23rd.
Okay.
I'm going to read some tea leaves, and we all know, if you've been listening to the show the last month and a half, how great I am at reading the tea leaves this year. Spoiler alert, not. But I would say if we get a preview this week, probably they take the week after to do work, so we get it the week after that. So what would that be?
That makes sense.
the week of
The
July
third week in
20th, somewhere in that range. So that's when I would predict that we might get this. Let's see. Make the set bonuses look a lot more attractive, or at the very least, a lot more unique. That's where I'm at. Although I will say, this was not my insight, but I was in a conversation where someone made the comment that we were talking about the set bonuses, and we point out that this stuff is not gated by an expansion pack. Which so it will be open to more players generally. Build a falchion out to drop somewhere in one of the raids. No promises. I believe Wood Elf is kind of picking up a little bit of steam in people liking to play Wood Elf and wanting a falchion for that. Actually get around to fixing the on-punch stuff that's been clogging up to-do lists for about 2 years. Fix those proc rates. Some of the proc rates were at 100%, and that's not supposed to be intended. And switch the longbow over to acid. So, I think on the right track for the most part, except for the switch the longbow to acid. We want all elements for all weapons.
Yes.
There we go. I'm going to come back to that. Bonus days. Talk about bonus days here. It is a 10% Reaper XP boost this weekend. Also, for the store news, double bonus points available through tomorrow, July 6th. Also, you get either a lesser or greater elixir discovery with your purchase, depending on how many points you buy. Introducing a new item, the Hidden Potential Elixirs. These new loot boosts increase your chance to get random loot with a fourth affix effect, called Hidden Potential Elixirs, that are available in lesser, greater, and sovereign sizes that offer increasing opportunity to get a fourth affix on random treasure from chests, available in 3 and 6 hour versions. The effect only applies to your own treasure pulls. The timer pauses while you're in public areas. So that's kind of an interesting one there. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely kind of the mind that I don't know. What do you think, Nimvind?
I don't know. It just seems like every couple months something's new in the DDO store for loot, right?
Yeah.
You guys talking about that new thing?
The potential elixirs.
Oh yes, yeah.
I think they would get a lot more interest in this item if it also increased your chance to get a Mythic or Reaper bonus. Just saying.
Honestly, that's just the one potion that they need. Is like,
right?
Oh, Reaper Mythic boost potion.
There's a lot of people that go for it.
Yeah, named loot and Reaper Mythic boost would be nice.
Summer sales are underway. Special discounts every week. Oh, you want?
Yeah, I just wanted to. So my internet dropped, and I just wanted to kind of circle back to the punch list here. Did we finish the punch list?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess really I just wanted to bring up that Linabelle in the update 47 named loot thread on the Lomania forums posted a picture of a really cool item, the spear of the what do you call it? The
Moorlands, I think.
Spear of the Moorlands, yes. And it looked really, really cool, and I think it's going to be something pretty. Linabelle needs to work on it, and I believe in the description, they said that there was going to be it was like a hidden thing about it that wasn't shown in the screenshot of the item, and so I'm really super looking forward to that. I'm thinking it would be something cool, like if you're a Warforged or Blade Forge, it gets this particular ability.
I would think Blade Forge specifically would be a low-hanging fruit option to check. Yeah.
So I'm just kind of enthusiastic about that. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely did. let's see. Back to the sales. Summer sales are underway. So every week, special discounts in July. This week, 35% off of the Falconry Tree, 50% off of Gnome Race and character slots, and 75% off of Heroic Learning Tomes. So if you're looking for that stuff, there you go. Through July 9th.
Yeah, my wife, as soon as she saw the 35% off
Falconry.
the falconry tree, she just immediately spent points on it, and was just
Good
really
time.
super happy to have that. Yeah.
My eye is looking for Artificer because I don't actually own Artificer yet. So that's the one I
just
want
get the Kenneth Favor.
On the hardcore server, that's a little trickier.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a little difficult. Yeah. Okay.
I have it on Kyber.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
But on hardcore, a little harder to do.
Right.
Let's see. Rise Again is the sale for this week. 20% off of reincarnation items, healing items, spell point potions, and quest XP elixirs, also through July 9th. And the coupon code is the Wand of Slow coupon. So its code is slow down through July 9th as well. Right. I think let's do this. Let's talk about Hardcore Season 3 a little bit, and then we'll do the community news and wrap. So Hardcore Season 3 has been going. I just want to kind of I don't think we need to go really into detail on it, but how's it going, if it's going, and what are your quick thoughts on Hardcore Season 3, the early returns?
I'll go first because I don't have a lot to say. I just haven't gotten around to starting it, and I would like to, but I just haven't. Honestly, as I mentioned earlier in the show, my enthusiasm for the game has waned, and the hardcore. I mean, it shouldn't affect my hardcore aspirations, but it just has, and and as it goes on, as hardcore goes on, my chances of finding some folks to level with are just diminishing by the day, and so it gets harder and harder for me to get any sort of enthusiasm for it.
I do want to acknowledge a little part about kind of what you're saying is that, and I myself have kind of had some of this experience, and particularly kind of just the way the world is right now. Give yourself, if you're listening to this, give yourself a little bit of freedom. Your interest in the game will wax and wane a little bit, right? Like you'll have downturns, and that's okay, right? Don't beat yourself up over it. So I don't think you'll have too much trouble finding people to run with. If you want to find a specific person, that might be easier or harder depending on things. But I think the population will still be pretty good, consistent. So I'll go next. I haven't really been on Hardcore Season 3 very much. I was on there yesterday. I think I mentioned earlier I was planning on being there for a couple hours, hanging out with some friends, and I ended up being there all day. And it was kind of a nice change of pace, which was nice because Season 2 felt much more like I was there to do a thing. And this was kind of more I'm just kind of playing and having fun, which was nice. I'm a little disappointed that the champions are back to the standard live champions. I kind of like the idea of champions kind of continuing and going, but I don't think they had enough time to do a new suite of that. And I'm still hoping that we can get the Season 2 suite into the live rotation, personally. But the kind of the big change is the extra life. Oh, I did want to Cordovan did say so the way an extra life works, if you have earned an extra life and haven't used it, it works like a regular death. So when you die, you can either recall out, get to a shrine, get res by a party member, hireling, whatever. In the case of the Shroud, that does mean you can come back to life at the start of the fight. It does cost you your extra life, but it does work, supposedly. I don't know that I would still run the Shroud and waste an extra life in that manner.
No,
but,
I wouldn't do that.
I'm planning to.
Are you? You gonna go get the Shroud favor?
I mean, I didn't die in TOE Part 2, so I feel like I have to die somewhere.
Yeah. Well.
So you're actually going to trust in the Shroud?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm very familiar with the mechanics on how the extra lives work now that I force
You've
people
killed
to
other
die.
people.
Yeah, I'm the hardcore server murderer. I'm like, here, follow me into the shroud.
I'm sure you'll get people doing it. I still say, I mean, Abbott would be fun too. Get an Abbott completion.
Oh man, yeah. If I can
So.
find people that can flag for it, like that force thing, one slip up and that could be fatal.
Yeah, one wrong turn and you're done.
It'd be fun to get an Abbott completion, I think. But anyways, yeah. So I did get my extra life. A note on that: you get the extra life when you get enough XP to take level 8. You don't actually have to take it. Which meant I actually got it at level 6.
Yep.
Because I was hard capped, and then I got some monster manual XP that pushed me over the edge. So, just be aware of that. Nimvin, how's it going? Any lessons you've learned this time around that are new?
Yeah. It's this season is a little different for me because I actually have a bigger static group. It's usually just me and one other person, right? And so when the static group is done for the day, my biggest thing is I run a tune. I just have a tune since that's my static group is worried on favor. That tune is just zerging up to 20 and farming out Sharn and Ravenloft, and which is working out great because now I'm sitting pretty on Ravenloft gear, and I have a group of my static group die, so I re-leveled a tune. So now if my main character dies, I have a character that did all the quests up to level 7, right? Just ready to go. And that's great. So like I have backup plans and I have but I mean I hadn't really died. So it's going smooth. It's just slow, right? Like I have a bunch of people. I can't complain. I'm not complaining. It's just me staying effect. Last season I was able to do it within less than 2 weeks. This season it's going to probably take me a month to get all my goals done, but I love it. I'm having such a great time. I'm live streaming every bit of it, and it's just been a really great time. I've been having a lot of fun. uh my feelings about season 3, just I a lot of people are complaining that topped the last 2 seasons, and they're like, man, it just feels like it's like softcore. Like, stop saying softcore. I see people die at level 13 and people pressing F for respect, like they're doing the F for respect meme, right? And I'm like, I can't respect people now that die past level 8 because that means they died twice. Like they died and didn't learn their lesson. They're like, no F for respect. Just like
Says
try
the guy who killed
better.
people twice in the same quest.
Oh yeah, unintentionally. No, I even got one guy that died once and lose both his lives. That's clipped on my Twitch. It's really sad. But anyway, I just like I don't think this season is for the winners of last 2 seasons. I feel like this is a season that strategically will revive the interest that may have been lost to the people who didn't do too well in the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
And I think that's great. I think it's great to be like, hey, don't feel down. Maybe this will help. And to be honest, like, yeah, the Archon style is trash, but at least the horse looks like a Digimon, and the cloaks, they could do, they look good. They just look also not my style, right? Like, the art is increasingly getting better for these prices. It's just like, you know, they're pitching Forever 21, and I'm more of a thrift store kind of guy.
Okay.
It's true. Like the 10 Reaper Point cloak looks like what the DOJ cloak was supposed to look like. You know what I mean? Like, it's that Archon style. Like, every angel species have their style. Some like feather and robes, some like Gryffindor with a tinge of white, which is a lot of red and gold. Archon. Ugh. It's just not good. They don't look good. They look too much. They're extra, as us millennials would say. And a lot of people are complaining about that style that I've seen. But to be honest, the artwork, perfect. I love it. Detail, amazing. Compare it to season 1 where it's like, here, just put red on it. It's
The
this is
season 1
beautiful.
cosmetics were not as visually appealing as the season 2 and season 3 ones are.
Like, let's face it, the
Except
bloody
the pet.
footprints looks like you stepped in a bucket of paint and kept running.
I still think they're cool.
Yeah, they're cool. Another thing is, I kind of like the bloody footprints because it's not really for me. I'm not looking at my footprints when I'm playing the game. A lot of people who are following me, and I felt like that made sense. Like, oh, this person earned 5,000 favor. This guy can be a leader. He knows the content enough, or is lucky enough to bumble through 5,000 favor. Let's give him bloody footprints. He can lead people through a maze, right? Like, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And then next thing he's like, ponies. You like ponies? You got 5. Here's a horse so you can leave noobs behind you in Slayer zones. They will never know where you are. Ponies, guys. This one looks like a Digimon.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I really love the horse this season compared to last season, bro. I just
Yeah, well, yeah. I just was talking with someone yesterday that likes this horse and really hated season 2's horse. So, yeah.
Hate's a strong word. I thought season 2 horse was kind of cool for like a Pellmaster. It was very cool, but like
It's
in
just
an
a horse to
edgelord
me.
way. Yeah, really, that's what it is.
I
And
have a horse
the
in every
difference,
character I roll now. That's all it was for me.
yeah, that's all it is. It's like an aesthetic to a speed boost. Really, they should be considered cosmetics, and that's why I wish they would make them bound to account, because like they're there for functionality, not just. And until you give me like a war elephant or like a dragon to drive around, their functionality, and whatever color or whatever is like whatever. I'm a streamer, and I hardcore is a really good pull, and plus I like to show off how good I am.
Yeah.
So I'm there. I might as well get me a pony, right?
So you died twice or 3 times, and then we'll mock you. Yeah, I
Oh
think
yeah.
it's definitely. I like that they opened it up to more people. With the extra life thing, I think that will really help those people. Like you were saying, feel like they have a better shot, and it's more their speed. So, but I definitely like people are dying. Like it's not like people aren't dying this season. So
A lot of people who called it softcore, they should just hang
yeah,
out in hardcore league today after this and just watch how many people. I saw level 30 died. That means he died like 3 times that life, and I'm like, what? I'm used to just one life myself. So a lot of people, when I did die farming out Ravenloft, people are like, "Oh, now you're screwed." I'm like, "No, this is now I'm used. Now I'm in familiar territory."
yeah, yeah. All right, let's knock out the community news. We got 2 chronicles to get through. The 388th chronicle, the community spotlights the Flaming Sphere Scroll fan club has entered the Hall of Flame on the forum, so you can check that out. Shrimp Tom was also getting ready for hardcore. He did a couple of videos about builds. Samus Grobel also created a video of his top 5 builds for hardcore. The Guild for the Week, the easily distracted gaming community, recently celebrated its first anniversary. The group operates their own Discord and helps organize runs on any server and among different guilds. It's kind of fun. The comment, instead of cakes, what food items should be used for resurrection?
Thin mints.
Thin mints?
Yeah, from the Girl Scout cookies. Thin mints.
All right, that's interesting. I'm more of a Samoa guy myself, but
Yeah, thin mints are the
by
best.
which I mean it's really the only Girl Scout cookie that I like. But rationing is a very difficult thing for me, we'll say. We got
Boxes don't last long.
new. I did this February make a box of Samoas last about 4 days, which was probably a record for me.
Wow.
But it was very difficult. I
Oh
may have
man.
also hidden that box from my coworkers.
Honestly, I think wasabi, right? Like that would wake me up if I was dead. Someone just shoves a spoon of wasabi down your throat. You're like, oh, I'm alive. Stop that.
All right. I got nothing. I don't know. I like the idea of like it wakes you up or something. Something hot. You know, Be good. But I don't know. Maybe what's something that I'm not gonna like try to guess, but maybe something that has a historical or like a culture aspect of being served at like a funeral or something like that. Maybe I don't know.
Wine.
Cake is good for me. Wine. Fan site news. We got a shout out for our episode 603. DDO Stream is your first stop to find DDO on Twitch. That week was DDOPL. Did a pirate alchemist. I feel like that's a good combo. Alex and Lynn headed to Barovia, and the Damsels of DDO continued their year of epics. On Twitch, you can find recent shows by Canal du Beholder Kaelho. Ooh. Geek Gaming Dragon and Voodoo Spice. On YouTube, Axel discussed the changes to Hardcore League. Queen of Hearts does a blind Let's Play. And DDO John O did Reaper 7 Grim and Barrett Run. And Mickey did some raids. The 389th Chronicle. Strumtom got a shout out for more of his Hardcore Season 3 builds. Foji is a new poster with fansite news with a YouTube channel, including a solo run of Epic Elite Chronoscope. Update 47 includes 3 older raids made legendary. Of the remaining raids in the game, which would you like to see get a legendary version? Tower of Despair?
Yeah, that's Titan or Tower of Despair. That's the two options,
I mean,
right?
Dragon, Demon Queen are both only epic.
That's true.
Same with Fall of Truth and Mark of Death are only epic versions.
Well,
Although
if
both
Epic-
of those, the problem with those two is that I think they did a really fun job of continuing their story into the epic, and I don't, especially with the Fall of Truth, I don't know how you continue that into a legendary version.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think you can because you take care of the truthful one.
It ends their story.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless we can do a Godzilla spinoff and Storm Reaver has a son, right? And he grows up to be the second Storm Reaver.
No. But I think Tower of Despair is
TOD's,
the clear winner.
TOD and Demon Queen are the 2 obvious choices, I think. Oh, and then the Titan raid, that would be nice too.
I'd want them to change it a lot though.
Sure.
Like I don't like the margin of error, the pillar aspect. I think it'd be much more fun to have different.
It should be
mechanics,
more like Legendary Titan should be more like Dance Revolution, where like you're supposed you slash dance for the Titan to weaken it because it confuses it.
If they do Legendary Titan, I would like them to do something like Mark of Death or Fall of Truth, where it's a completely different raid, just in Legendary. If they did like Tower of Despair, I think you can just translate that to Legendary really easily, and I think it still works really well.
If my answer for this would be Menace of the Underdark,
Caught in the Web.
yeah, I think
Sure.
that would be great to see Lolthus like, hey, remember that thing from 9 years ago? Well, I'm back, baby.
It was never one of my favorite raids, but
the loot from there is still really great for leveling up to and so imagine that legendary, really just amazing loot with unusual stats and all this great stuff. But for like, oh my god, I wish they would have kept doing loot like they did back. That raid was so nice.
It has some great mechanics in it. It also has some, the escorting part is a little annoying. So, let's see. Fansite news. DDOCast has impatient trapping, which doesn't sound like a good thing. But fine. DDO Stream is your first stop to find DDO on Twitch. This weekend, Siegfried treks out hardcore. Fridays and Ice did Vaughn's, and Brock and Friends flatten the curve. Also on Twitch, Nimvind and Samus Grobo stream hardcore, and Apocalypse Dom ran Reaper 8 Killing Time. I'm assuming that was our guild run, which failed, which they're doing again today. Good luck, guys.
I watched that Nimvin guy on Twitch. He's pretty good.
Over on YouTube, Thazara of Orion ran Reaper 1 Temple of Deathworm. Axel goes through races for new players, and Breno Z confronts a Manticore. There you go. There's the community news. Don't forget to check out D&D Night on DDO stream Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern. And DDOcast, DDOcast Splat on Wednesdays at 5:30 Pacific time p.m. We're gonna have to figure out where I should send an email out before Wednesday to figure out what we're gonna do this week, huh?
Yeah.
'Cause we did the
Hey,
Runes of Thunderhold
PJ,
last time. Yeah.
did you notice that Evil Beaker's character Ozzy did not die at all on
Wow.
this past
Hey,
Wednesday?
that's great. We're getting
That's
better
a-
at keeping him alive.
That's a first, yeah.
We really ran the raids that hard, but we were also only doing it with 6 people. But it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. So, all right, let's close out the show here. Nimvin, you want to plug your streaming and videos and stuff?
You can catch me at twitch.tv/Nimvin, where I live stream the greatest and craziest 2 DDO trends, like Hardcore Season 3. You can also find my video series on YouTube under Nimvin Space Dirge Singer. Oh, yeah.
Arkat, you got anything you want to plug this week?
No.
All right.
No, there's no way I would want to follow that.
Well, thanks for listening to the show. Thanks to my guests here today for hanging out for a while. And thanks for all the contributors for DDOcast and to Standing Stone Games and Wizard of the Coast and to Cyber Ears for hosting the podcast. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our website at DDOcast.com, or you can also support us on Patreon. If you have a DDO-themed webpage or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, you can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. You can hit us up at ddocast.com for show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff. Hey, if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to join us as a guest, if you want to talk about something, you can leave a comment. You can email me, ddocast@gmail.com. We encourage you to have fun, be part of the show, join the conversation, be nice. But you can all do all that stuff. Leave a comment, email us, ddocast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on social media and follow us the latest cast updates at DDOcast on Twitter is the best place. So may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for us.